Hi everyone, Mrs. Kane here. Today we're going to be working on a project talking about the element of space. So I'm going to share my screen with you to start. And many of you are thinking, when you hear the word space, you're thinking outer space, right? We think of planets, planet Earth, the stars, the sun, the moon. We think of outer space when we hear the word space. But in art, space is actually one of the elements of art, one of the ways that we use tools to create art by creating an order of how objects are organized in a space within the picture. We have a paper and we have to decide, well, how do we know where to put things when we make art, right? How do we know how to organize our picture, where to draw certain things? So when we are talking about space in art, we're not talking about outer space. We're talking about the way a picture is organized. So we have what's called, and you can see in this picture, what's called the foreground. The foreground are the things that are closest to us. So the foreground are the things that we see closest to us. So even if you stood outside and looked out at the wide open backyard, you would see whatever's closest to you is in the foreground. The rest of your backyard is in the middle ground, and your fence or whatever's way in the back of your yard, that's the background. Okay, so in this picture we have the grass and this kind of dirt here. This is the foreground. All of these grayish colored mountains and hills, this is the middle ground, the stuff that fills up the middle of the picture. In the sky, way back here in the way back of the picture, that's the background. Okay, let's take a look at this picture right here. This picture, we can see that the artist has drawn in black in a silhouette the palm trees, the car, and this person here with their car. These are all what are in the foreground, so the front of the picture. The ocean, or the water here, is the middle ground, the middle part of the picture, and the sunset and the colors in the background are the background. So all of this stuff back here, that's the background. Right above this horizon line, this is all the background. Let's take a look at a photograph, and we can examine a photograph the same way. Wherever the person that's taking this picture is standing somewhere, right, with their camera taking a picture. So they're standing up here in the front on the beach. So the beach, you can start to see where the water is getting shallower here. The beach area and the waves right here, these little white caps, that's the foreground. The waves, the bigger waves right here and the blue area, this is the middle ground. And this ship and the sky is the background. This is called the background of the picture. And what we're gonna do today, let me stop my share, is we are gonna create our own vision of a foreground, middle ground, and background picture. Now I did a seascape. You could do a different landscape if you would like to. I'm going to show you how to make the seascape, but like I said, if you want to change it and do something else, you can, okay? Now this is not a flat picture. I want you to notice this opens up. This is a 3D, more sculptural picture that you can stand up and display similar to how you would a greeting card, okay? So this helps us by doing this to define what we think the different parts of the space are in our picture. So here we have the beach, which is the foreground, the water, which is the middle ground, and you can add shark fins or fish or whatever you want to add to your details on there. And then when you open it up, this is where we're going to draw our background on this back paper. So that's where we're going to draw our background. All right, I'm going to show you how we're going to complete this project. Switching over to my document camera, we're going to start with a piece of paper. You can pull a piece of paper out of your sketchbook or your notebook, just tear it out. If you have some frayed edges and you want to cut those off so you have a nice straight edge, you can, it's up to you. And what you're going to do is you're going to take your paper and you're going to fold it in half like you were making a card for somebody. So you're going to line up these two corners here, make sure it's nice and straight. And then you're going to press down along the edge to make this into a card or like a book, right? It opens like a book, okay? So what I'm gonna do now is I'm gonna draw with my black Sharpie, but you can draw with a pencil if you would like to first. You're gonna make a wavy line that we're gonna cut. So when I say we're gonna make a wavy line, I don't want you to make it too squiggly because it will be difficult for you to cut, okay? So we're gonna start here, and notice I'm not starting way down here because if I do, my paper is not gonna stand very well. So I'm actually gonna start, this is about halfway right here. I'm gonna start about 3/4, so almost a little more than halfway up the paper, okay? And I'm going to draw a wavy line like this. Okay, so you're just gonna leave that wavy line and you're gonna open up your paper so that you see that wavy line, but this part is still just plain white, okay? And right here is a crease in the paper from where you folded. So there's like a little line already that we can feel from where we folded the paper. I want you to start at that wavy line and draw a line going straight up off the edge of the paper. Now this is the part that we're going to cut off, and you don't have to make these lines. I'm just showing you that this is the part of the paper that we're going to remove, okay? Now when you're cutting with your scissors, please make sure you have your parents' permission before you start cutting, okay, and that you're very careful. When you're cutting, you want to always hold your scissors pretty straight, and you're turning the paper when you need to cut, not your scissors, because when we're doing this and turning our hands all kinds of crazy, it makes it very hard to control the scissors, okay? So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to cut down this straight line. Now don't cut all the way down the paper, just only cut on the line. So let me show you, just where we have that line. Okay, then I'm going to turn my paper. I think it's easier to cut from this straight side. Now notice when I'm cutting the curve, I'm turning my paper and I'm keeping my scissors pretty straight. So you're turning the paper and keeping your scissors pretty straight. Okay, and so this part you're just going to take and put that in your recycling. We don't need that anymore. Okay, so now when I fold this back together like that greeting card, okay, I'm going to have my foreground and my background. My foreground, middle ground, and my background. If your paper is folded like this, that's fine too. It doesn't matter which way it's folded, okay? I have mine folded like a book, but either way is just fine. What you're going to do now is you're going to put in the line somewhere just a little above the bottom for the beach. So this is where the line is going to be for the beach. Okay, so whoever is taking this photograph is standing along the beach. Okay, now I decorated mine with a beach umbrella and some buckets. You can add a towel or a blanket. You don't need an umbrella. You can draw a little puppy on the beach, whatever you want to draw. Okay, I'm going to show you how I did the umbrella. I drew a post first coming up out of the sand like this. So just a rectangle, and I have mine kind of on an angle. You could have yours totally straight, doesn't matter. Okay, the next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to make a straight line across. This is on an angle because my post was on an angle. So I'm going to make a straight line for the bottom of the umbrella, and then I'm going to make like a half circle. Okay, the next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to divide my umbrella into a few sections. We have different pieces of fabric on our umbrellas that are kind of connected together with those metal details. And you can decorate your umbrella however you want. If you wanted yours to just be all solid, you can keep it solid, decorate it however you want. If you want to add some buckets on the beach, okay, anything you want to add onto your beach, okay? Now, the next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to take a marker, and you can use crayon or colored pencil, whatever you have, and I'm just going to make some waves, some lines, some curvy lines for my water. You could color this whole thing in blue if you would like to, and you can also add in, if you want to add some little fish, or these are some fish that are jumping. Ooh, that one's getting close to shore. Okay, I'm going to add a little smiling face, happy fish. Okay, so now you have the foreground, which is the sand, so you can color that in. And then you have the middle ground, which is the water. Okay, and then you have what's called the background of the picture. What I'm going to do is I'm going to keep this folded, and I'm going to trace along that that cut line. So now if I open this, I have a blue line on the background that's showing me where I need to start my background picture. And if you want to color in a little bit below that, you can, it's up to you. Okay. What you're going to do is draw in whatever details you want for the background. So if you wanted to draw a boat like I did, and maybe it's easier if you start with a straight line, and then you just curve the lines down to the water. Some of the boats actually underneath the water line. I'm going to make mine a wood-sided boat. I'm going to put some wood details on here, and I'm going to give it a sail. So you can make a post and then add your sails with using the basic shape of a triangle. Okay. If you want to add a giant sunset, you can just add a curved line and draw the rays of the sun if you would like to. Okay. And you can add some clouds if you would like. You could add some birds by making little kind of stretched out M's. Okay, kind of like the letter M, but making them wider. Okay, and then you would go ahead and finish coloring this. You can use markers, you can use crayons, colored pencils, whatever you would like to color this. If you have watercolors at home, you could paint it. And remember that the sky doesn't always have to be blue. Sometimes we see the sky and it's like a pink. We see a pink sunset, or we see some yellow, or today we have kind of a gray sky outside. So you could have different colors for your sky. Then when you fold this back together, now you have the foreground, middle ground, and background. And you can display this artwork. Normally we hang our artwork, we put our artwork on our fridge or in a frame, but this artwork you can display like a sculpture because you can stand it up with the fold. Okay, so here is an example of a finished one that's all been colored. And I hope that you enjoy the project and enjoyed learning about foreground, middle ground, and background. See you soon.